You have found your way here, to this quiet place, at the end of a long day. Whatever you carried with you tonight, the weight of tasks unfinished, the hum of a world that never seems to slow down. I want you to set it all down now. Gently. Right here. At the edge of this moment. You don't need it anymore tonight. Tonight, you are going somewhere far away. Somewhere ancient. Somewhere golden and slow and endlessly, beautifully calm. So find your position now. Let your body sink a little deeper into wherever you are resting. Feel the surface beneath you, the softness, the warmth, the support of it. Take a slow breath in through your nose. Hold it for just a moment and release it softly through your mouth. And again, breathe in the quiet and breathe out the noise. One more time. Breathe in and let go. With every breath you take from this moment forward, you are drifting a little further from the world you know. And with every word I speak, you are being carried gently, safely, like a leaf on a slow and winding river back through thousands and thousands of years. Back to a time before the noise, back to a time before the rush, back to the very beginning of one of the greatest stories ever told by human civilization. We are going to Egypt, ancient Egypt, to the banks of the world's longest river, where the air smells of wet earth and lotus blossoms, where the sky is a deep and endless shade of violet and gold, and where, once upon a very long time ago, something extraordinary was quietly beginning. Let your eyes grow heavy now. There is nothing you need to see in this room tonight. Everything worth seeing is waiting for you on the other side of your closed eyelids. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands rest open and soft. You are safe. You are warm. You are exactly where you need to be. And now, let us begin. Imagine, if you will, that you are standing at the very edge of something vast. Not a cliff, not a precipice, nothing frightening. Rather, imagine you are standing at the edge of a great, open floodplain at dusk. The sky above you is enormous. It stretches from one horizon to the other in a slow, breathtaking gradient, deep amber, at the edges where the sun has just surrendered, melting into soft rose, then lavender, then a deep and velvety blue overhead, where the first stars are beginning to appear, one by one, like tiny candles being lit by careful, invisible hands. The air is warm, not uncomfortably so, just warm in the way that feels like a gentle embrace. There is a faint breeze coming from the north, carrying with it the scent of water, clean, ancient water, the kind of water that has been flowing for longer than any human mind can truly comprehend. You breathe it in, and it fills your lungs with something that feels almost like peace, and then you hear it. At first, it is just a sound at the very edge of your awareness, a low, continuous murmur like the distant breath of something enormous and alive. But as you stand there, barefoot on the soft, dark earth, the sound grows slowly clearer. It is water, moving water, steady and unhurried and impossibly old. You walk toward it. The earth beneath your feet is extraordinarily rich, dark and dense and slightly damp, the color of deep chocolate, the texture of something that has been waiting patiently to give life. With every step, you feel the ground grow softer, more yielding. Tall grasses sway gently on either side of you, whispering in that faint northern breeze. Papyrus reeds, taller than a person, line the path ahead, their feathery tops swaying in slow, hypnotic rhythms, like the careful breathing of someone deeply, peacefully asleep. And then, suddenly, the reeds part, and there it is, the Nile. Oh, dear traveler, there are no words in any modern language that can fully prepare you for the sight of this river at this moment in time. It is not merely a river, it is a living presence. It is wide, so wide that the far bank is just a dark, gentle suggestion in the fading light. Its surface catches the last colors of the sunset and holds them, trembling in 1,000 soft reflections. The water moves with a quiet, purposeful confidence, as though it knows exactly where it is going, as though it has always known, as though it was going there long before the first human eye ever looked upon it and felt that wordless feeling of wonder. You sit down at the water's edge, The bank is soft beneath you. You let your hand trail down into the cool earth beside you, and you feel the moisture there, the life in it. A lotus flower floats past on the gentle current, its white petals folded close for the night, rocking almost imperceptibly on the water's surface. It drifts by slowly, peacefully, and you watch it go, and something inside you, some tight knotted thing you have been holding without even realizing, it begins, very gently, to loosen. This is the Nile, and this is where our story begins. Long before the pyramids pierced the sky, long before the pharaohs were crowned in gold and lapis lazuli, long before the hieroglyphs were carved into the great stone walls of temples that would stand for thousands of years, this river was already here, patient, generous, eternal. The ancient Egyptians had a word for their land that they used with extraordinary love and reverence. They called it Kemet, the Black Land, not because it was dark or foreboding, quite the opposite. They called it Kemet because of this soil, this magnificent, life-giving, impossibly fertile, dark soil that the Nile deposited along its banks every single year without fail. In a world that was mostly desert, a world of blinding white and burning gold, of rock and sand and silence, this narrow strip of black earth along the river's edge was nothing short of a miracle. And the people who first found it, those earliest wanderers who came to the river's edge thousands of years before recorded history, must have felt exactly that. They must have stood where you are sitting now, looked at this dark earth and this moving water and this abundance of life, and felt something shift inside them. Something that said, here, this is the place. This is where we stay. Can you imagine that feeling? That sense of having found something, of having arrived, of knowing in some deep and wordless way that the wandering was over. Picture them, these earliest Egyptians, arriving at the river's edge not all at once but slowly, over many generations. Small family groups at first, perhaps a grandmother and her children and her children's children, following the great herds of animals that came to drink from the Nile. Perhaps a young man, alone, following the river north because something in him simply needed to know what was beyond the next bend. Perhaps a woman carrying a baby on her hip and a clay pot balanced on her head, walking at dawn because the desert behind her had grown too dry, too unforgiving, and this river, this rumor of a river she had heard spoken of in whispers around night fires, had called her forward. They came from the south, along the valley carved by the river over millions of years. They came from the east, crossing the desert in careful, well-planned journeys from oasis to oasis. Some even came from the west, from a land that was once green and fertile but was slowly, over centuries, becoming the Great Sahara Desert as the climate shifted and the rains retreated. And wherever they came from, when they arrived at the Nile, they found the same thing. They found abundance. The river teemed with life. Catfish and perch and tilapia moved through the water in great silver schools. Along the banks, ducks and herons and ibis picked their way through the shallows, and their calls filled the morning air with a wild and careless music. Hippopotamuses wallowed in the deeper pools, their great pink ears flicking back and forth, their round eyes watching the newcomers with a patient, mildly curious gaze. Crocodiles lay motionless on the sandbanks, ancient and still as carved stone, warming themselves in the early sun. And along the edges of the floodplains, where the black earth was richest, wild emmer wheat and barley grew in dense, whispering stands as though the earth itself was offering gifts to whoever was wise enough to accept them. And the people accepted, gratefully, reverently. They learned to fish the Nile with nets woven from papyrus fibers. They learned which plants were edible and which were medicinal. They learned to read the river, to notice its moods, its rhythms, its seasons. They learned that every year, when the summer came and the distant rains fell in the high mountains far to the south, the Nile would rise. It would swell and spread across the floodplains in a great, slow, gentle inundation. The water would be dark, with rich sediment carried down from those far mountains. And when it receded, Weeks later, it would leave behind a fresh layer of that miraculous black earth, renewed, replenished, ready to grow whatever seeds were placed within it. This annual flooding, the ancient Egyptians would eventually call it a ket. The season of inundation was the heartbeat of their entire civilization. It was the gift of the Nile, and in time, they would come to see it as something sacred, something divine. They would tell stories about it, great, beautiful stories about gods and rivers and the eternal cycle of death and renewal. But that comes later. For now, in these earliest days, it is simply a miracle that happens every year, regular as breathing, and the people who live along the river's edge have learned to love it and trust it, as one loves and trusts a generous and dependable friend. Let the night settle a little more around you now. Feel how the air has grown slightly cooler, how the stars above the Nile have multiplied while you weren't watching. There are so many of them. In this ancient world, with no electric lights for hundreds of miles in any direction, the sky at night is something that modern eyes can barely imagine. The Milky Way stretches from horizon to horizon in a broad, luminous river of light, a celestial Nile above, reflecting the earthly Nile below. The ancient Egyptians noticed this. How could they not? And they saw in it something profound, the idea that the world was made of mirrors, that heaven and earth were reflections of each other, that what was above was also in some beautiful way below. The first settlement fires are beginning to glow along the riverbank now, small, warm points of orange light in the velvet darkness, and around each one, you can just make out the shapes of people sitting together, close and quiet, the way humans have always instinctively sat around fires in the night. Some are eating simple meals, fresh fish roasted over the coals, flatbread baked on hot stones, sweet figs and dates plucked from the trees that line the bank. Some are talking in low voices, the kind of voices people use when the night is beautiful and they don't want to disturb it too much. Some are already sleeping, curled on woven reed mats, wrapped in light linen cloth, their breathing slow and even as the fire dims to embers beside them. And one, an old woman, sitting a little apart from the others, her back straight despite her years, her eyes fixed on the moving water, is watching the Nile. She watches it the way someone watches a fire. The way you watch something that moves and changes but is always fundamentally the same. Her name, we don't know, but she is someone who knows this river, who has spent her entire long life beside it, who has seen it rise and fall so many times that the rhythm of it is inside her, as natural as her own heartbeat. She reaches down and picks up a handful of the dark earth beside her. She holds it in her palm. She looks at it for a long moment, and then she opens her fingers and lets it fall, slowly, back to the ground. And she smiles, the kind of smile that doesn't need a reason, the kind that simply arises when a person is, in that moment, completely and utterly at peace with the world they are in. You watch her from your place a little further along the bank, and something in her calm, her absolute, unhurried stillness moves through you like a warm current. You breathe in, you breathe out. The fire's reflection dances on the water, the stars wheel slowly overhead, and the Nile moves on, as it always has, as it always will. The years pass, slowly, in the way that time moves in stories like this, not in a rush, but in a drift, like the river itself. The small family groups along the Nile begin to grow. Children are born and grow tall on the rich food the river provides. Grandparents teach grandchildren the things that matter, how to read the water's color, to know when the flood is coming, how to plant seeds at precisely the right depth in the dark soil, how to weave a net strong enough to hold a large catfish without breaking, how to find north by the stars when you are lost. Knowledge passes from hand to hand, from mouth to ear, like a flame being carefully carried from one torch to another across a great dark distance. Communities form, small villages at first, clusters of round, simple houses built from mud brick, cool inside, even when the sun outside is blazing, their walls the same warm color as the earth they were made from. These early villages have a kind of beautiful simplicity about them. There are no grand avenues, no towering monuments. There is a communal bread oven shared by everyone, its warm yeasty smell drifting through the lanes in the early morning. There is a place where the potters work, their hands moving in practice circles around spinning clay, shaping vessels that will hold grain and water and oil the foundations of a stable life. There is a place where the weavers sit, their looms clicking in a steady rhythmic pattern, creating linen cloth so fine it is almost translucent, cloth that catches the light in a way that makes it look like woven water. And there is always the river, at the center of everything, the reason for everything, the solution to almost every problem, the source of almost every blessing. The people begin to develop a relationship with the Nile that goes beyond practicality. They begin to love it. They begin to worship it. They hold ceremonies at the water's edge when the annual flood begins, joyful, colorful gatherings where they offer flowers and food and prayers to the river, giving thanks for what it has given and asking for its generosity to continue. They sing, they drum, they dance at the edge of the rising water with their arms raised to the sky, and their laughter carries across the water and up into the warm evening air. And for a moment you can almost hear it, almost if you're very still and very quiet, and you let the story carry you close enough. A soft sound, happy and ancient and free. Now breathe in slowly and breathe out. Your body is growing heavier now, isn't it? That pleasant sinking heaviness of genuine relaxation settling into your muscles like warm sand. There is nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. Just listen. Just drift. The story continues. As the villages grow and the generations pass, something remarkable begins to happen along the Nile Valley. The communities, which were once entirely separate and independent, begin to connect. Trade begins tentative at first, then more regular, then essential. A village in the north might have an abundance of a particular type of stone, good for making tools. A village further south might have the finest flax, perfect for weaving. Another community might have learned a technique for firing pottery that makes it stronger and more beautiful than anything else along the river. And slowly, boats begin to move between these communities, carrying goods and ideas and stories and, gradually, people. The Nile becomes a highway, the world's oldest highway, and the traffic upon it, though gentle and slow by any modern standard, is constant and purposeful. Long, narrow wooden boats with papyrus sails drift up and downstream, their hulls low in the water with cargo, their crews moving with the unhurried ease of people who trust the river and know that it will deliver them to where they need to go, in its own time, when it is ready. Picture one of these boats now. It is early morning. The sun has only just risen, and the light is the color of honey, thick and golden, pouring across the water's surface and making everything it touches seem slightly miraculous. The boat is about as long as 4 people, lying end to end, and it is loaded with clay pots sealed with beeswax pots filled with oil pressed from castor plants destined for a community further north that has requested it. The sailor is a young man of perhaps 20 years, lean and brown from a life spent on the water, his eyes the particular shade of dark amber that many people along the Nile share. He has a single large oar at the stern, which he moves with small, gentle adjustments, reading the current beneath the boat and working with it rather than against it. He is not in a hurry. He has learned from his father, and his father learned from his father before him, that the Nile does not reward hurry. The Nile rewards patience, attention, the willingness to simply be present in the moment and let the river do what rivers do. He has a small round of bread wrapped in a linen cloth tucked into the boat beside him, and a clay cup. When the sun climbs high enough to warm the air properly, he will eat his breakfast slowly, watching the banks slip past. He will see egrets standing motionless in the shallows, their white feathers brilliant against the dark water. He will see a family of ducks, the mother leading her ducklings in a neat line through the reeds. He will see other boats, a fisherman coming home with his morning catch, a group of women crossing the river from the far bank, laughing at something one of them has said, their laughter carrying easily across the water in the clear morning air. And he will feel, as he often feels on these early morning journeys, a quiet and profound contentment, a sense that the world is, in this moment, exactly as it should be, that he is exactly where he is supposed to be, that the river beneath him and the sky above him and the warm bread in his hand and the sound of those women's laughter across the water are all somehow part of the same single, beautiful, unhurried thing. You know this feeling, don't you? That rare and precious sense of being exactly right with the world, of everything being, in this moment, enough. Hold that feeling. Let it spread through you now, from your chest outward, all the way to the tips of your fingers and the soles of your feet. You are warm. You are safe. You are exactly where you need to be. Just like this young sailor on the ancient Nile, drifting through a golden morning that the world will not see again for thousands of years. The communities along the Nile continue to grow and connect. Over many generations, more generations than any single story can contain, a remarkable thing is happening. The people along the Nile are developing something that has never existed before in quite this form. They are developing a shared identity, a shared way of seeing the world. It comes through in many ways. Through art, first of all, the beautiful, distinctive paintings that begin to appear on the walls of their pottery and their tombs, and eventually their great stone temples. A style of drawing unlike anything else in the ancient world, with figures shown simultaneously from the front and the side, with a kind of clarity and precision and elegance that even today, thousands of years later, when you look at it, stops you in your tracks and makes you stare. It comes through in their beliefs about the world, the great intricate mythology that the people along the Nile begin to develop, stories about the sun god Ra, who sails his golden bark across the sky each day and descends into the underworld each night, only to be reborn at dawn. Stories about Osiris, the god of growing things, and his beloved Isis, and the eternal cycle of life and death and renewal that mirrors the annual cycle of the Nile itself. Stories about Thoth, the ibis-headed god of wisdom and writing, who keeps all the records of the world in his great celestial library. And stories about Ma'at, the most fundamental concept in all of Egyptian thought, the principle of truth, balance, justice, and cosmic order. The idea that the universe has a right way to be, and that the highest human calling is to align yourself with that rightness. To live in balance, to live in harmony, with the river, with the land, with each other, with the great turning of the stars. Ma'at. Even the word, if you say it softly, sounds like something a person might say at the end of a long day when they finally get to lie down. Ma'at, a long exhale, a release. Ma'at. The night is very deep now. The stars above the Nile are at their most brilliant, that great river of light overhead reflected in the slow-moving, dark water below. The fires along the bank have burned low. The village is almost entirely asleep. Even the sounds of the night, the croaking of frogs in the reeds, the distant call of an owl, the soft lapping of water against the bank, have settled into a kind of background music, so constant and so gentle that it becomes indistinguishable from silence. Only a few people are still awake. A young mother nursing her baby by the last glow of the embers, humming something almost too soft to hear, a melody with no fixed beginning or end, just a gentle loop of sound, repeated and repeated, as old as motherhood itself. A watchman, sitting at the edge of the village, his spear across his knees, his head already beginning to nod. A scribe, for now, in these later days, there are scribes sitting cross-legged with a rush pen in his hand and a piece of smooth papyrus on his knee, recording in that extraordinary pictorial script the events of the day, the amount of grain traded, the height of the river, the birth of a child, the death of an elder, the ordinary, irreplaceable moment of a life, preserved in ink on paper made from the reeds of the Nile itself, so that future generations might know, might understand that these people lived and worked and loved and watched the river and were grateful. The scribe pauses. He dips his pen into the ink, a mixture of carbon and water and gum, black as the night sky between stars. He looks out at the river for a moment. Something has caught his eye. A flash of silver on the water's surface, a fish jumping. It arcs upward in a brief, bright curve and then is gone. back into the dark water, and the ripples from its departure spread outward in slow, perfect circles, catching the starlight, before the river smooths itself over again and forgets. The scribe watches the ripples fade, then he looks back at his papyrus, and he draws a small image, a fish, arcing upward. Just that. Not part of any official record. Just a moment he saw and wanted to hold. A moment of beauty, noticed and preserved by a human being who was paying attention, in a time so far back in history that it makes the mind go quietly blank trying to comprehend the distance. And yet, here is the remarkable thing. That impulse to notice something beautiful and want to hold on to it. Even for a moment, even imperfectly, that impulse is not ancient at all. You have felt it too. Everyone has. It is perhaps the most human impulse there is. That scribe and you, across all those thousands of years, across all that unimaginable distance, are connected by that single, simple, universal thing. The wish to notice the beautiful, to say, I was here, I saw this, I wanted you to know. The seasons turn. Ake. The inundation arrives each year without fail, the river rising in its slow and stately way, the water dark and rich, spreading across the floodplain with a quiet, inevitable patience. Then, Pire, the season of growing, when the seeds go into the black earth and the air smells of green things waking up, and the fields along the Nile are a shade of vivid emerald that seems almost impossible against the tawny gold of the desert beyond. Then Shemu, the harvest season, when the grain stands tall in the fields and the whole valley hums with the sound of reapers and the smell of cut wheat warming in the afternoon sun, and the granaries fill and the people know that they will eat well for another year. 3 seasons, like the breathing of the earth itself. In and hold and out, in and hold and out. Let your own breath follow that rhythm now if you like. In, hold out, slow and natural and easy, like the turning of ancient seasons, like the rise and fall of the most generous river the world has ever known. In the fullness of time and time, in this story, is very full indeed. The small villages along the Nile begin to cluster together into larger communities. The larger communities develop leaders. The leaders develop systems, ways of organizing the storage and distribution of grain, ways of resolving disputes between neighbors, ways of planning the great communal projects that the river makes possible and that life along the river requires. One of these great projects, perhaps the most important of all, is irrigation. The management of the Nile's waters. For as generous as the flood is, it does not reach every field equally. It does not always come at exactly the right moment. And in the years when it is too low, when the flood does not rise high enough to water the outer fields, the threat of hunger is real and present and frightening. And in the years when it is too high, when the water rises beyond its usual limits and sweeps away everything in its path, the devastation can be terrible. And so the people learn to control the water. They dig channels, long, straight channels, leading from the river into the fields further from the bank, so that the flood's bounty can be spread more evenly. They build earthen walls to contain and direct the water. They create basins, great shallow depressions in the landscape that can be filled with flood water and held there while the river recedes, so that the soil remains moist and workable long after the natural flood has passed. This work requires something remarkable. It requires cooperation on a scale that has never been attempted before. A single family cannot build a great irrigation channel. A single village cannot manage the water for an entire region. This work requires communities working together, planning together, laboring together, sharing the results together. And in organizing this work, in managing it and coordinating it and ensuring that its benefits are shared fairly, the seeds of something new and extraordinary are planted. The seeds of governance, of administration, of what will eventually become one of the ancient world's greatest and most enduring states. But we are not there yet. We are still in these early days, these quiet foundational days, and everything is still simple and immediate and close to the earth. The channel diggers work through the coolest part of the morning, their copper tools moving rhythmically through the dark soil, their talk easy and familiar, the jokes and stories of people who have worked beside each other for years. At midday, They rest in the shade of the palm trees along the bank, eating their midday meal in comfortable silence or in the equally comfortable back and forth of old friendship. And in the late afternoon, when the shadows lengthen and the air begins to cool, they work again a little slower now. The day's labor settling into their muscles, but still steady, still purposeful, still moving toward something larger than any one of them. And when the work is done for the day, they wash the dust from their hands in the river, and they stand for a moment at the water's edge, looking at what they have made. A channel, not yet complete, but taking clear shape. A new path for the water, a new gift they are preparing to give to the land that has given them so much. And they feel tired, yes, pleasantly, deeply tired, but also proud and connected to each other, to the land, to the river, to the long chain of people who have stood at this same water's edge in the same fading light and felt the same quiet, wordless satisfaction of work done well and a day fully lived. Your breath is slowing now. I can feel it, or perhaps I am imagining it, but I think I can feel it nonetheless. The rhythm of your breathing growing longer, deeper, more even. The space between one breath and the next growing wider, more peaceful. You are drifting, aren't you? Not lost drifting. The way the lotus flower drifted past on the river earlier in our story. Unhurried, untroubled, simply moving in the direction it was always going to go. Let yourself drift a little further now. The night has fully arrived on the Nile. The darkness is thick and soft, like velvet, like the dark soil of the floodplain. The village sounds have faded entirely. Even the frogs are quieter now. The river moves on in its ancient way, carrying the starlight on its surface, carrying the sediment of distant mountains in its depths, carrying in a way that no one in this early time could yet know or understand the future of an entire civilization in its slow, dark, generous current. In one of the mud brick houses near the river, a family is sleeping. A man and a woman on a simple raised bed of acacia wood, covered with linen. 2 children on reed mats beside them, tangled together in the comfortable, unself-conscious way of sleeping children who trust completely in the safety of the place and the people around them. A cat for the Egyptians are among the first people in history to keep cats as companions, and they love them dearly. A cat is curled at the foot of the children's mat, a perfect circle of warmth, its tail wrapped neatly around its nose, its purring barely audible but steady. A faint, continuous vibration in the warm night air. The window is open to the river. Through it comes a smell of water and mud and lotus and the faint sweetness of the palm trees. And the sound of the river always, always the sound of the river, low and constant, the most ancient lullaby in the world. The man stirs slightly in his sleep. His hand finds his wife's hand and closes around it without waking. She sighs a small, barely there sigh of comfort, of ease, of a person who is dreaming something peaceful. Their hands remain clasped. Outside, the Nile moves on. The stars wheel above in their slow, eternal dance. The cat purrs. The night holds them all. This family and this village and this ancient river and this story that is only just beginning, in its great dark quiet embrace. And in the years that follow, in the decades and the generations and the centuries that slowly, quietly, miraculously accumulate along the banks of this river, something is building. You can almost feel it, even now, a kind of slow accumulation of energy, like the water rising in the season of inundation, not rushing, not forcing, just rising, steadily, inevitably, with an absolute and beautiful patience. The communities along the Nile grow more sophisticated. The trade between them intensifies. The leaders become more organized, their systems of governance more developed, their reach more extensive. The artists become more skilled, their work more elaborate, more confident, more unmistakably Egyptian in that extraordinary, timeless visual language that will one day be recognized and admired all over the world. The scribes develop their writing system. Those first simple pictographs, a bird, a water ripple, a seated man, a lotus flower, begin to multiply and combine and take on layers of meaning that go far beyond the objects they depict. A whole language is taking shape in those pictographs, with a grammar and a logic all its own. And with that language comes the ability to record not just practical information, not just the height of the river and the weight of grain, but stories, ideas, beliefs, the great mythological narratives that explain the world and give human life its meaning. The songs and prayers and laments of real people living real lives along this extraordinary river in this extraordinary land. The black earth continues to give. Every year, without fail, the river rises and the flood comes and the dark soil is renewed. Every year the seeds go in and the green shoots emerge and the grain stands tall and the harvest is brought in with singing and celebration. Every year the 3 seasons turn in their eternal cycle and the people who live by the river are fed and clothed and housed and, in the main, content. It is a good life, a slow and rooted and deeply human life, lived in close relationship with the land and the water and the sky and the turning of the year. There are hardships, there are always hardships, the years when the flood is too low or too high, the years when illness moves through a village, the ordinary griefs and losses that are inseparable from any human life in any time. But through it all, the river remains, constant, patient, giving. The Nile does not judge, the Nile does not demand, the Nile simply flows, and in its flowing it makes everything possible. Let your thoughts grow quiet now. If any thoughts are drifting through your mind, and they may be, you don't need to push them away. Just notice them gently and let them float past, like the lotus flower on the river, like the boats moving between villages in the golden morning light, like clouds crossing the vast Egyptian sky. Just let them pass. You don't need to follow them anywhere. You don't need to do anything with them tonight. Just breathe. Just rest. Just let the river carry you. The story of ancient Egypt's birth is, in the end, the story of a relationship. A relationship between a people and a river, between human beings and the natural world that sustains them, between the practical need to eat and drink and shelter and the deeper human need to make meaning, to create beauty, to reach towards something larger than the individual self. The Egyptians understood something that it is easy to forget in a faster, louder, more complicated world. They understood that the good life, the truly good life, is not a life of constant striving and accumulation. It is a life of attentiveness, of noticing, of being present to the gifts that surround you, even when those gifts are as quiet and unremarkable as dark earth and moving water and the smell of a field of grain in the morning air. They built their civilization on the principle of ma'at, of balance and harmony and the patient attunement to the natural order of things. They did not fight the river, they worked with it. They did not try to conquer the desert, they learned to live at its edge and use it and respect its limits. They did not try to rush the flood or hurry the harvest. They observed the seasons and aligned their lives with them, and in doing so, they created something that lasted not for decades or centuries, but for thousands upon thousands of years. There is something deeply, quietly reassuring about that, about the thought of all those generations of ordinary people living their ordinary lives by the extraordinary river, patient and present and engaged with the beautiful difficulty of being alive. They did not know they were making history. They were simply living, fishing and planting and building and loving and talking and laughing and sleeping and dreaming beside the river in the warm dark, under the stars, just as you are resting now, just as you are breathing now, quietly, without needing to be anywhere else, without needing to be anything other than what you are. There is a rightness to this moment, a ma'at. The river flows on. The stars move in their slow arc overhead. The night is very deep now, and very quiet, and very, very kind. Somewhere along the Nile, in that other time, in that golden and ancient world, the young sailor has tied up his boat for the night and is sleeping in its hull, rocking almost imperceptibly on the water's gentle movement, his arms folded behind his head, his face tilted up toward the same stars that are above you now. The scribe has rolled his papyrus carefully and set his pen aside and closed his eyes, the image of the jumping fish still faintly illuminated in his dreaming mind. The mother with her baby has laid the sleeping child down and curled around it like a warm parenthesis, her breathing slowing into the deep rhythm of good sleep. The old woman at the river's edge has finally, gently, lain down on her reed mat, her hand resting on the dark earth beside her, close to the water she has loved for a lifetime. And the Nile moves on, dark and generous and unhurried, taking everything downstream. All the day's cares, all the week's worries, all the tight and tangled things that people carry in the daylight hours, and that the night, the kind and ancient night, slowly dissolves. Downstream, downstream, all of it, quietly downstream. You are at the river's edge now, right at the very edge. The water is so close you could reach out and touch it, but you don't need to. You can feel it from here, the faint coolness of it on your face, the smell of it in the air, the sound of it, that low and endless murmur, filling your awareness so completely that everything else, every other sound, every other sensation, gradually, gently fades. There is only the river. There is only this sound. There is only your breathing, slow and deep and matching the river's rhythm now. In and out, the most ancient rhythm in the world, the rhythm of water and wind and sleeping bodies and turning seasons. The lotus flowers on the water are all closed now, folded tight for the night, resting as you are resting in the warm dark. Come morning, they will open again, each petal unfurling slowly in the first light, reaching toward the sun with that irresistible, quiet urgency that is the nature of all living things. But that is morning, and morning is a long way away. And for now, for this moment, for this beautiful dark river scented, now everything is closed and quiet and perfectly still. Sleep is very close. You can feel it, can't you? That soft, warm heaviness that is gathering behind your eyes and in your limbs. That sense of the world growing distant and soft at the edges, like a landscape seen through river mist. That feeling of something slowly releasing its hold, releasing you and letting you go somewhere deeper and quieter and more restful than thought. Let it come. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to try. Sleep is not something you chase. It is something you allow, like the flood, like the harvest, like the turning of the seasons. It comes in its own time, and it comes to those who are patient and still and ready, and you are ready. The Nile flows on tonight as it has flowed for millions of years through the dark heart of the most ancient of lands. And all along its banks, in this moment that exists somewhere outside of time, the people of that first, quiet, miraculous civilization are sleeping. Generation after generation of them, stretching back and back and back through the centuries, all at rest, all breathing slowly in the warm night air, all cradled by the sound of the river that gave them everything, that made them who they were, that flows still in the dark, in the deep, and the everlasting. They sleep, and you sleep. And the river connects you across all that impossible distance, across all those thousands of years in this one quiet, human, necessary, beautiful thing. Rest now. You have traveled far tonight. You have stood at the edge of the world's oldest story and looked out across the water and felt the ancient earth beneath your feet. You can let it all go now. The river will keep it safe. The river keeps everything. Rest now. Rest. The Nile flows on. The stars are watching. The night is endless and warm and kind, and you are already there, already deep, already home. The river flows on and on